Hi. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to increase, and we're just using one color yarn. So we haven't learned how to do the two-color brioche, but I have gone ahead and cast on 15 stitches. I worked my setup row. We had done this in a previous video, so if you need to go back and check that out. But here's the pattern. You can stop this and you do your setup row, I cast on 15 because I'm going to do 2 increases for you on one row. And then you're going to go ahead and I did brioche on 3 stitches. And I'm going to do that with you, but let's get set up first. We're going to need 2. In order to do our increases, we're going to need 2 stitch markers, and I have 2 white ones because they'll show up nicely on the green. So let me go ahead. If you've got your setup row done, let's go ahead and do this. I didn't do the 3 selvage edges. I'm going to just knit these. So in order to do that with 15 stitches, I knit the first one, knit the first row. And you should have the pattern written down. I showed that to you last time, one of the last times. And then we're going to bring our yarn forward, bring your yarn forward between your needles, slip the next stitch, and you can tell that stitch gets slipped because it has a collar, a cuff, a collar around the top of it. So we're going to go ahead and slip that. Your next stitch looks like an X. It has 2 single yarns over, and they cross and make sort of an X. So leave your yarn in front and put your needle through as if to knit, and as you go to wrap it, this becomes your yarn over. And then we're going to knit those 2 stitches off as if they're one. Okay? Then you're going to bring your yarn forward again, slip, put your needle points together, and slip the next one with the collar to the right hand needle. With your yarn in front, that automatically makes a yarn over. So we're going to go ahead and put our needle through our next 2 stitches as if to knit. And you can see then this makes your X stitch. Okay, bring your yarn forward, tip to tip slip, next 2 on your needle, and knit. Yarn forward, tip to tip, and you can see these are 2. This one looks like it's coming out of here, which it is, and then this one looks like it's coming out of a stitch, which it is. And those are the 2 that you want to knit together. Yarn forward, tip to tip slip, and you can see these are the 2 you're going to knit together. And because your yarn's forward, it automatically becomes your yarn over when you knit those. And the last stitch is just bring your yarn forward and slip it. Now, your yarn's in an odd position, but all you have to do is just make a collar with that. And so you bring it under your needle tip and around. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and do some increasing. Let me lay this down. And I have 2 stitch markers. I'm going to open those, and then I'm going to show you what you do with those. Now, these don't have to be even. They don't have to be placed evenly. I just want to show you how to do this. So I'm just going to pick 2, and you can see this is my stitch, the one that's bumping out, and it also at the top has the X over it. So I want to take my stitch marker, and I'm going to mark that because that's where I want to do my increase. Okay, and then I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to go 2 down, and you can see this is 1, this is 1, and this is 1, and they have the X's. They don't have the cuff, they have the X's, and so I'm going to mark that one. So I have 2 stitches marked. I guess I could have moved this over, but that's okay. It won't matter. Okay, so let's go ahead. And what we do is we go ahead and knit up to those markers. So the first one, as you remember, is a knit. And if you're doing a 3 selvage, you'll remember to do your 3 selvage knits and then start your brioche pattern. Okay, this one we're going to slip tip to tip. That has a cuff. And I'm going to knit the next 2 pieces of yarn. Bring it forward, slip, knit. Okay, bring it forward, bring it forward. And then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and slip that stitch, and we want to go ahead and knit the next two stitches together, but we don't want to take them off of our left hand needle. Leave it on. And you can see we've made a stitch. And then I'm going to bring my yarn forward again, and I'm going to knit that again. So let's go ahead and work to the next one so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to bring my yarn forward, slip, knit, bring my yarn forward, slip. Now this is the one that I want to increase. So I'm going to go ahead and do, but I don't take this off. I bring my yarn forward again, and now this one I can take off. The second one you can take off. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish this row. Slip, knit, yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, slip. And again, I'm going to make a cuff just by I don't take it over, I take it under my needle. Now let's look at our other side. And you can do that by kind of looking where your stitch marker is. And you can see that you have a cuff, two, a cuff, two. Now this is where it gets very tight. You have a cuff and then some weirdness going on here. And that will tell you that you've increased. So in order to work those, what we're going to do is we're going to knit the first stitch, bring our yarn forward, slip tip to tip, knit the next brioche stitch. It's called a bark, brioche knit. Bring our yarn forward, slip, knit. Okay, bring our yarn forward, slip. Now, we only want to knit, you can see those are our three weird stitches, and they're right in line with our stitch marker. Now we have 4 stitches after we've slipped this one. We have 1, 2, 3, well, we have 3. 1, 2, and then a double, which is 3, 4. So we only need to knit 1. Okay, bring your yarn forward, slip the next one, it has a cuff, and then knit the 2 that are together. And I will show you why on the other side. So let's go ahead and work to the next stitch marker. We're going to slip, knit, yarn forward. Now here we are with our bundle of yarns, and there's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then our double. So we're only going to knit the first stitch, bring your yarn forward, well, I think I did something wrong. Let me check this. Yeah, I need to bring my yarn forward, slip that one. I'm sorry, I didn't slip that one. And then we're going to knit the second one singly. Bring your yarn forward, slip, knit the 2 together, and then finish to the end. We're going to do this again on another row, so don't get frustrated if you're having a hard time. Just complete your row, and we'll clean it up later. And you're always welcome to start over. We don't have enough stitches on here to get frustrated about it. Okay, so we have gone ahead and increased. Now, when I look at this, it's really hard to tell where my increase is right now, but it's going to be right there. So let's go ahead and work this. This is called our right side. So I'm going to go ahead and knit my first one. Oh, and I needed to tell you girls, my biopsy came back really good. Okay, I knit my first one, brought my yarn forward, slipped the next one, and then I knit the 2, forward, slip, knit, forward. Now, this is very close to where we are. We have a cuff, so we slip that. We have the X, so we're going to knit that. Yarn forward, we have a cuff, so we slip it. 2, we knit that. So there we've made our increase. And as we go along, we're going to see the difference. Slip, knit, yarn forward. And here we are again. Slip, knit those two, yarn forward. We have a cuff, so we slip it, knit the two together, yarn forward. Okay, let's finish off this row, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to let you just knit that back row, and you can knit it with me. We're going to knit back to the other side because this is the side with our stitch markers that we are increasing. But for now, I just want you to go ahead and knit your pattern so that you can see what that looks like as it gets developed, as it blooms. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just knitting with you. Just go ahead and knit with me. Slip, knit, yarn forward. And if you get really good with single color brioche, then you'll be ready to try double color brioche later. But we are going to learn these little tricks on how to increase on a single color and decrease later. We will do decreases later because once you know how to do that in a single color, then doing the double color will be a little bit easier. I really like single color because you don't have to brioche burp, which is a brioche purl. And you don't have to keep track of your colors either. Okay, so we are on our front side again, and you can kind of see, if we do a couple more rows, we'll be able to see our bloom. You can almost see it right here. You have your main stitch that you started with, and then you have one starting up here and one starting up here. Let's go ahead and do one more row together so that you can kind of see, and then we're going to increase again. So I knit my first one, yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, and we go from there. And you're welcome to stop this video and restart at any time if I'm going a little too fast for you. If you just keep your mouse in the middle of your video, or if you're on a phone, just hit it with your thumb, it'll stop. You don't have to go looking for those little triangles down at the left-hand corner. You just kind of bump it with your thumb in the middle of your screen and it'll stop, and then bump it again, it'll start again. So that's just an easy way to go ahead and stop things if you need to. So if we look at this, I'm going to pull these apart just a little bit. If we look at this, now that stitch is a little bit big because I exaggerated it, but you can see this is our main stem, and then we are branching off from there. And let's go over to this one. This is our main stem, and you can see I have 2 stitches coming out of 1 stitch. Okay, let's go ahead and knit to the other side, and then I'm going to put a different color on so that you can see a little bit better what I'm doing with the increase. So we go ahead and knit the first one, slip, yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, slip, knit. That's pretty much, if you just remember that, you're doing great with brioche. Yarn forward, slip, knit. And when we get to burp, the brioche purls, then it's a little bit different. But if you memorize this part, the brioche purl will be just a little bit easier when it's time for us to do it. And I tell students, go ahead and just, when you finish a project, like I have 3 projects here that I finished, and I keep the excess yarn because then it's good yarn to practice a new skill with. You don't have to get a whole new skein of expensive wool yarn to practice with. Just use whatever you have available, your scraps. Okay, so we have gone ahead and we have increased here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stitch markers off and I'm going to move them. Now you can see this is the one, excuse me, this is the one that we increased with. So I'm just going to move it over to the other one, and I'm going to move it up so that I can kind of have a different increase elsewhere. And let's take this one off. And I'm going to move it to the other side of the one that I just worked. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, let's see, let's do white. I think white will show up just a little bit better on this. And where's my end? There we go. Okay, I'm not going to cut this because a lot of times you'll see I'll unravel these and just keep using them for lessons. Okay, so I'm going to put my yarn under my leg of my camera so that it doesn't get knit, and push it back there because I just want to work with the white for now. Okay, so there's my white. I'm going to lay it like that so that I can see it. And again, we're just going to knit that first stitch. Now, in order for me to change colors, I don't attach yarns together. I just start with a new yarn and then I sew in all of my ends. So in order to do that, I pick this up with the loose tail going to my left and the working tail going to my right. I put it over my finger and then I will put it on top of my yarn and I knit that. Now you might want to hold this tail with your fingers so that you keep it just a little taut. It doesn't have to be terribly taut, but just a little bit. I'm going to bring my yarn forward, slip, knit. Now I'm hoping you can see this. You have a green one that you've slipped, which makes it really kind of cool. So I'm going to bring my yarn forward, and this, you can see, this is the line that we're going to increase. So we want to slip our cuffed stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and knit those two, but don't take them off of your needle. Bring your yarn forward again and knit those two again. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring our yarn forward and work to the next stitch marker. Yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, slip, knit. Now I am to the point where I'm ready to do another increase because there's my main one. I'm going to yarn forward, slip this cuffed one. I'm going to go ahead and work this one, but don't take it off my left hand needle. Pull my yarn forward and knit it again. Okay, so we've made two more increases. Let's go ahead and finish our row. Yarn forward, slip, knit, yarn forward, slip, and make a cuff. Okay, now this is where we go ahead and have to separate them, and this can be a little tricky. This is where a lot of people make a mistake when they are increasing. As you look at the back of my work, you can see I'm going to knit this one. This has a cuff, so I'm going to slip it and knit these two together with the yarn over. Now, we come to the mess of stitches. And in order to break those down, let's look at them. We have a cuff here on this one. This one will get knit separately. And then we will slip, and you can barely see it. Slip the next white one and then knit the two green ones. So let's go ahead and do that slowly. Let's go ahead and knit this first one because that's just all the selvage we did. Bring your yarn forward. You have a cuff, so slip it. You have two yarns. You have a white one coming out of the right hand stitch and a green one coming out of the stitch you're going to work. You're going to work those two stitches together. So we're going to go ahead and knit those two stitches. Now we are at our point. I'm going to bring my yarn forward. I'm going to, you can see we have a cuff. I'm going to slip that. And there's a single stitch. Next, we're going to knit that, yarn forward. Now we have a single. It has a little bit of a cuff. You can barely tell. It doesn't look like the other cuffs, but it does have a cuff. So we're going to slip that and knit our green and yellow or white yarn together. So we've gone ahead and you can see we've taken that messy part that's all bundled, jumbled together, and we've made it a slip, a yarn over, slip, yarn over. So let's go ahead and work until we get to the next increase and work one more increase for you so that you can kind of be secure in what you're doing. And again, stop this video if you need to catch up to me. I try not to go too fast when I'm teaching, but sometimes when I'm just doing this to get to where we need to work again, I go a little fast. I'm sorry. Okay, we have one more. We're going to slip that one and knit it. And you can see we have a bundle of stitches all thrown together. So we're going to bring our yarn forward. The first one has a cuff, slip it. The next piece of yarn is a single, but we're going to knit that. Bring your yarn forward. The next one has a small cuff, slip it, and then knit the green and white together. And if you're just using one color, at least you'll be able to see. Slip it, knit these two, yarn forward, slip, and make yourself a cuff. And you can see I pulled these just a little bit tight to tighten up those stitches. Not too tight because you'll ruin your stitches. Now you can really see the definition in the first set that we did. This is the original stem, and then we made two little branches going off of it. The same over here, our original stem and then two branches. If you want to work these as just regular work, it's going to be just regular brioche. You don't have to worry about the 4 pieces of yarn that get all jumbled together. Now you're just working. If you need to rewind this to do some more increases, go ahead. Remember that your best friend will be your stitch markers on brioche right now, because it will show you, it will remind you when you get to the other side, and you can just about see, it will remind you when you get to the other side where to start looking for that group, that cluster of yarn pieces. Okay, I hope this is helpful. We will do some more where we do some decreases in, I'm thinking our next video will be decreases in brioche, and it's just about as easy as increases. Okay, I hope to see you again. I hope you've enjoyed this and that it's been helpful. I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.